Now, please introduce yourself and tell us where you were in the Peace Corps.
My name is Kasey Scott, and I was in Paraguay from 2001 to 2003.
Okay. Now, I'd like to ask a little about your background at this point. Where did you grow up?
I grew up, I was born in Oklahoma City, raised around a suburb of Houston, and then went to high school back in Oklahoma City. And then after high school, I lived in Tulsa for a little while before I did the Peace Corps.
Ah, so what year did you graduate from high school?
Graduated Edmond Memorial in 1995.
All right. Did you have the slightest idea of what you wanted to do at that point, other than go to college?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to see South America.
Even then?
Yeah, and I knew I wanted to be there for a long time, and so I think I always kind of thought the Peace Corps was something I wanted to do. I grew up fairly religious, and so initially I was more interested in some sort of mission capacity, although later on I kind of, it's a whole other story, but decided that wasn't my route, and so Peace Corps made more sense. I really wanted to go somewhere for a long time and
just be out of Oklahoma?
Yeah, and see the world, and Peace Corps was perfect for that.
Now, do you have any idea, do you remember at all where you first heard of Peace Corps?
It just seems like something, maybe it's been enough movies that just
there was
like
one that I remember.
Yeah, there was like
it was
one
crazy.
famous one.
Bill Murray or something.
And I don't even think I ever saw it, but
it wasn't very good. It's called Volunteers.
But it seems like the Peace Corps is, at least when I was a kid, it just seemed like everyone knew about it.
Really?
I felt like they did.
So you were Edmond, you were right here in Edmond, and you were in high school, and everybody seemed to know about Peace Corps.
I mean, I feel like everyone knew that existed, and kind of the basic idea of it, but I guess I don't actually really remember when I realized it was a possibility. I don't remember.
So growing up, you didn't know anybody who had been in Peace Corps, did you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no one in my family had done it.
Now, did anybody in your family encourage you that way? Or discourage you from doing that?
My parents weren't, at the time, they weren't travelers. And so no one really encouraged me to do it. I just knew I wanted to see South America.
Okay, then the question, you've mentioned this twice now. Why South America?
You know, really, I went on a church mission trip to Mexico when I was 14 or 15, and that really sparked an interest in
where'd you go?
That was just in Mexico, right across the border, but just that, I think, alone really made me want to go further, and so I ended up studying Spanish all through school.
Because of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it just left such an impression.
Wow, it must have.
Made me want to see more, and so.
Can you remember some things that you saw at that time that made a really big impact on you? Or not?
I mean, I think just it was really my first exposure to like another culture. Really, I've never been outside the country, and so just like curiosity about how the rest of the world lives. I think where we were, it was really poor, and I guess I'd been so sheltered from that here that I felt like I wanted to see more of that also. And I really think a lot of it had to do with just growing up in such a sheltered society, and I think just wanting to see what else was out there.
And because you had been to Mexico, saw a little of that, and you were taking Spanish, then South America was the logical place, right?
Yeah, and
You
so
wouldn't want to go to Africa.
well, when I first applied, I was supposed to go somewhere in South America, and then I don't know if a program got canceled, but when I got my acceptance letter, it was for Romania. And
Oh, that must have jumped out at you.
I'm sure Romania would have been a neat experience, but I called to tell them I didn't want to go to Romania, and I could never get through to anybody, and so I just never, I guess I just never accepted it. And I kind of had my hopes crushed for a little while. Maybe a few months later, I called back and I said, I still really want to go. I want to go to South America. And they said, your application's still on file, so we'll reactivate it and let you know when we have something. And then
About when was that?
I mean, that was probably, I'm sure it was in the year 2000 maybe.
Okay.
And I remember I was living in Tulsa. That was kind of right after college.
Mm-hmm. So before we get to that, what? Let's see. Where did you study in college, and what did you study?
Well, I went to a school called John Brown University in Arkansas.
Heard of it?
And it was a great school. I actually studied. At the time, I thought I was going to be like a youth pastor or a missionary or a summer camp.
Do you feel like you'd been called at that point?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
And so I actually studied youth ministry and camp and recreation administration. And then my last semester of school, I guess you'd call it, I had a crisis of faith and decided that really wasn't my path anymore. And so I had to do a lot of reevaluating and figuring out what else I wanted to do.
You want to elaborate on that crisis of faith or not?
Well, I think at some point I just realized the faith that I had as a child was something that was chosen for me. And I think I realized it was time that I choose for myself, and I just had more and more questions that didn't seem to have answers, and it was a tough time.
You seek anybody out for help? Minister?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had a
priest,
lot of
or-
people that helped me out at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But
But you still weren't cut out for the religious life?
yeah, that's correct. I decided that was no longer for me.
Okay.
But I think I still had a little of the missionary zeal and desire to. I still had that desire to see South America. And
Was this stoked by your time at John Brown, or not?
no, I think those kind of desires probably were predated college. But
Did you have a normal college there, life?
yeah, I did. I had
John?
a pretty normal. It's kind of a small school. Most people live on campus, so it's. I liked it, but.
Is it? I might have this confused with another place, but I'm thinking that John Brown in Arkansas was predominantly black. Is that?
No.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Okay. All right. So race had nothing to do with going to John Brown.
No, it was just I wanted to go to a Christian college, when I was leaving high school. And
Okay, and it was.
I loved northwestern Arkansas, and
Mm-hmm.
my grandparents lived in that part of the country, so I had a special fondness for it.
Yeah. Okay. And there was nothing during. Were you 4 years at John Brown?
I actually finished a semester early, so 3.5.
Okay, 3.5. So at that time that you spent at John Brown, there was never any. You didn't have other interests, and like geology or?
I mean, I was into, at the time, I had a part-time job as a youth pastor while I was in college. So that was kind of my other interest, I guess.
Okay. You didn't develop a new interest in
No.
anything in another field?
No.
Okay. All right. So it looks like you were headed pretty much to the Peace Corps.
Yeah, and it is a good question. I've never really thought about like when I decided that's what I wanted to do. I think after I left conservative evangelical Christianity, I guess I had to reevaluate what I was going to do, and I think at some point the Peace Corps just became a really good option.
But you still knew no one who'd been in Peace Corps?
No, I'd never, at that point, I didn't know anyone who'd ever done it.
Okay. But you had an idea of what Peace Corps was like and what it would be like for you, didn't
Yeah, I mean,
you?
I think I knew you would go to a developing country for 2 years and not have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the time I was like young. I kind of had passions for what I wanted to do with my life, but not. I had just left, the path of becoming a youth pastor,
Mm-hmm.
and so I guess my future was wide open, and the Peace Corps was kind of a perfect match for what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So you applied again, a second time,
Yeah,
and how long did you have to wait?
that's a good question. It was so long ago. That's
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it was probably at least 6 months. It was a while. Maybe
Really? That
more.
long?
Yeah, I think it was several months, I think.
Okay. And were you, during that point, were you thinking, oh, well, they're not interested, or they,
Well, I think
I'd hear.
when I initially got accepted, and then they wanted to send her to Romania.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured it would happen at some point. I just thought it would take a while.
Was there a point ever when you thought to yourself, why don't I just call back and say yes on Romania?
I really wanted to see South America.
Okay.
I had studied Spanish. Not that I was fluent by any means, but that was just part of the world that I wanted to see.
Were you somewhat conversational in Spanish at this point?
I mean, I took 4 years in high school, and then my college didn't offer anything beyond what I got credit for.
Really? You didn't get any Spanish?
So I think I got 4 semesters, I think, of Spanish from a CLEP test. So part of why I got out of college early. So I think I had the vocabulary, but you don't really learn to speak it until you go somewhere.
That's true.
Even if you know what people are saying, it just kind of goes right over your head.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if there's a new accent, or you get off.
So if you got to South America, you'd be there, and probably in no time you'd start picking it up, and then you'd be fluent.
Yeah,
right.
And the country I was in, people speak an indigenous language, Guarani, and so a lot of Peace Corps volunteers in Paraguay end up needing to speak only Guarani, not Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So part of our training there was either learning Spanish if you didn't know any Spanish, but also learning Guarani.
So finally, the Peace Corps notified you that you were accepted, and that you would be what? Going to
Paraguay with the project was urban youth development.
Okay. Did you know anything about Paraguay at that point?
One of my favorite movies was The Mission, and it's Robert De Niro.
Yes, De Niro.
And Jeremy Irons.
Yes, that's right. I saw that. It was a great movie.
And it's set, it wasn't filmed in Paraguay, but it was set in, I think it was mostly set in Paraguay. And I had seen that movie enough times that I was pretty excited. I mean, the Indians in the movie were, they were the Guarani Indians. And so I was pretty excited. Just
Sure.
mostly from that movie.
I'm going there.
Yeah.
Terrific place.
A lot of the waterfall scenes in the mission are actually filmed. It's not in Paraguay, but it's right outside of Paraguay.
Okay. So when was this that you got accepted? If you can pin that down.
It would have been year 2000.
When? In the beginning, middle, late?
Probably mid 2000, maybe.
Okay.
Because I left early 2001.
Now, when you got your acceptance and you would be going, and you told people, you told your family, you told others, was there anybody who said, "Oh, that's crazy, you don't want to go and live in a jungle for 2 years, what's wrong with you?"
I don't think my parents ever said that, but I'm sure they were kind of worried about me moving to the middle of South America.
Normal. That's a normal reaction.
Yeah, but no one really said I was crazy or tried to discourage me.
Okay, no one did.
Yeah.
All right. So, where did you go to train?
So initially we all met in Miami for a day or two, and then
Was that called staging?
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so your first 3 months were in a training area, and this was kind of an area outside of the capital, which is Asuncion.
How do you say it?
Asuncion is the capital.
Okay.
And then I think the town we were in, I think it was, I don't remember the name of it actually, but it was a town outside of the capital. And
A real small town, I guess.
yeah, and there were around 40 of us, I believe, and there were 4 different sectors. So mine was urban youth development, but then there were 3 other groups. So I think there were more or less 4 groups of 10, I think. And so each group was kind of had our trainings separate, and then that was a 3-month training before we got sent out to our sites.
Okay. So you were trained with others who were in the same specialty that you were in.
Yeah.
You said it was urban youth?
Urban youth development.
Okay. What's that mean?
Well, it was a pretty vague job description. They basically said, go to your site and then figure out what you think your site needs and what you can provide, and come up with your own project. So,
Did you roll your eyes when you heard that? Or did you think, oh, wow, that's great?
No. I mean, I probably would have liked a little more direction, but some of the other projects were very specific, like helping people get running water projects, or some volunteers work directly with teachers.
Yeah.
I think we had kind of the vaguest jobs.
Just go out there and do some good?
Yeah, kind of figure out what you think your community needs and put together a project.
Okay. And I'm sure you talked to the other people in your group about this.
And a lot of us were all in kind of towns outside the capital, so I got to see them pretty regularly.
Were they equally excited as you were to begin this?
I think so, yeah. And I did have one other Peace Corps volunteer in the town, actually, that I lived in, which is kind of rare. Excuse me. Most volunteers are placed several kilometers away from other volunteers, but there was another volunteer in my town. And I think we spent a lot of time together, but tried not to spend too much time. I think we both knew we were there to be in another culture, not be with other Americans.
Did you see that other Peace Corps volunteer on occasions in which you were butting your head against the wall and you needed somebody else's insight?
Yeah, and there were definitely times when it was nice to have her around. And then, and a lot of the people I worked closely with were, sorry, I'm getting over a cold. They were in nearby towns, and so we got to see each other probably once a month, if not more.
Yeah. So there were others in the area,
Yeah.
not real close.
Yeah.
And now, what was transportation like for you?
Buses everywhere. Just big buses. They were hot and wonderful.
Did they have glass windows or not?
Yeah, glass windows, and usually they'd be really crowded.
Chickens ride on the bus too?
Not a lot of the ones I was in, but there were definitely some. But I was in a more urban environment, so it was
Not so agricultural.
yeah, definitely not as agricultural.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had 3 months, and during the 3 months, what'd you learn? What were the highlights, the main things?
You know, a lot of it was language training, and so, and they actually divided our group of, it was 10 or 12 people into small groups based on our language kind of abilities. And since I knew a pretty decent amount of Spanish, our language training was mostly in Guarani, which was pretty frustrating.
Can you spell that?
Guarani.
Okay. And is it a language or a dialect? Or does it make a difference?
It is a language.
Okay.
And it's a pretty difficult one.
Is it anything like Spanish?
No, it's completely separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very.
So your ability to speak Spanish didn't matter at all if you were speaking this other language.
Yeah. I will say I was fortunate. The town I lived in, usually the more urban your environment, the more Spanish was spoken. And so Guarani is more popular out in the country.
Okay.
So most of my day-to-day conversations were in Spanish, with a little bit of Guarani thrown in, but I could get by with Spanish, which I was happy about.
Okay. How did you progress in learning Guarani? Did you get to a point where you could speak it with anybody?
No, I never was fluent in Guarani. It was mostly learned enough to know like a lot of the greetings.
Yeah.
I think
Directions.
Paraguayans always thought jokes sounded better in Guarani. Guarani was kind of it was definitely a language of the heart there. So just because it's unique to Paraguay, and so people love that language. But I was in an area where Spanish was more popular, and so I really never learned a ton of Guarani.
So when you, after the 3 months, after that was over, what place were you assigned to?
So I was sent to a town, in Spanish it's called Villa Ages, or in English you would say Villa Hayes.
Hayes?
Hayes, named after U.S. President Rutherford.
Oh, that Hayes.
Rutherford B. Hayes.
Really?
He had settled a land dispute, and Paraguay, in his honor, named that whole state and town after him. So,
did you tell him that almost nobody in the U.S. knows anything about him?
Meanwhile, there are schools in the town that have his statue, but no one here even knows that he was a president. But the state was called Presidente Hayes, or they pronounce it Ayes.
Okay.
And then the town was Villa Ayes.
Had a Peace Corps volunteer ever been there before?
I I'm not sure if I
lived there? I mean,
I'm not positive.
you don't remember?
Yeah, I don't know if there ever was one.
Oh, okay.
It's possible, but I don't remember hearing of one.
So you weren't compared to anybody
No,
when you got to that town?
no. And there was one who came after I left, who kind of took my position.
Yeah.
But when I was there, no one. I don't remember. Never heard of anyone who was there prior.
Okay. So were you supposed to live with a family or live by yourself?
In the urban youth development, they wanted us, since we were in urban places, which were supposedly a little more dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted us to live with the family first. Sorry.
Yeah, live with a family.
So I lived with a family for 3 months, maybe, and I think they wanted us to stay with the family for, I think it was 3 months, and then we could find a place to live. And so the Peace Corps, actually, they provided that. They found
the family for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a lovely family.
Tell me about the family.
There were 3 boys and 2 girls, and they were kind of ranged from young, 2 or 3 years old, to about my age. Really loving. I still communicate with some of them.
Really? That's great.
Yeah, they were really neat. Even after I left, I would go back for Sunday dinners almost every week.
Oh, nice.
So it was a neat family.
What did the parents do?
Their father, I think he was some sort of engineer. I know he worked. There's a big hydroelectric dam that provides most of the country's electricity.
I read about that when I was kind of primping for this.
And he worked on that at some point. I don't remember exactly what he did when I was there.
But he had a good source of income then.
He did at some point. I don't know that he worked a ton when I was there. But I think he would have jobs that would send him out occasionally for different lengths of time.
Okay. So this was not a destitute family that you were living with.
I mean, they weren't wealthy, but they had cable television, so they didn't have like central heating and cooling, but they had some comforts.
Like what?
I mean, I think they did have one little window AC unit. And,
really? So they had electricity.
And cable television.
So.
And sometimes would play English stuff, so I could watch some TV at their house.
Did they have plush toilets?
Yeah.
Showers?
Yeah, and then
this was a wealthy group.
Yeah. Even hot shower. Although the hot showers there were like electric shower heads, which seems dangerous, but somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know why you never see that here, but every house had these electric shower heads that wouldn't make super hot water, but hot enough.
Well, were there parts of the town that were inhabited by impoverished people?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And how much of the town was like that?
Oh, I mean,
most?
It's hard to say. That kind of as you get to the edge of town, it got poorer and poorer. I mean, maybe 25% of the town was I would say very poor. I don't think anyone was wealthy by any means. But,
Yeah.
there definitely were like a big part of the town where people had comfortable lives.
And so they were working,
Yeah.
doing something.
And we were close to the capital, so a lot of people could work. It was maybe a 30 or 45-minute bus ride to the capital.
Oh, okay.
So
Not far at all.
a lot of people would work in the capital.
And commute?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you hit town and you didn't know what you were going to do. You were going to fan out and start talking to people, I guess, right?
Well, the family I lived with, they were really involved with the Catholic Church. And so I spent a lot of time kind of with the Catholic youth group, just because they were a good group of kids to start out with, and we could do projects together, and I could get to know other people, and so that was a big place where I started out.
Okay. What projects are you talking about here that you and the others did?
Well, I say that there was also a community center in our town that they had some computers, and back then most Paraguayans hadn't really been around a computer, and so I did spend a lot of time there also, and so with that community center, I would teach art and computers, English.
So you were teaching.
Yeah. And then
did you do that just sort of naturally, just fall into it, or did people come to you and they said,
they definitely needed some help teaching computers, just because they had all these computers that were, I think, donated, but they didn't really have a lot of experience with them, and so we would teach computer classes, and we actually would arrange it with the schools, where schools would bring groups of young kids. We would teach them the basics of computers. This was definitely before, probably almost none in this town had a computer at home.
Yeah. So it was a good place to acquire some knowledge of computers and what they could do for you.
Yeah, and then and this cultural center had, or community center had a room for classes, so it was kind of a great place to go to take classes in this or that. Or
were the classes already set up?
I mean, some of them were ones I developed. I don't remember.
Give me an idea of the ones you developed.
Well, I had a history of art, and so I did a lot of art lessons, like art, drawing, drawing and painting, and then the computer lessons. At some point, they didn't really want peaceful volunteers, at least where we were, to teach English, but that's something that
they did.
A lot of people, they don't really. That's not why we're there, but there's just a lot of people that wanted to learn English, and so
sure.
I ended up doing that just because people wanted it.
Did you feel comfortable or a little uncomfortable when you began that teaching English? Because you've never been an English teacher. You didn't know anything about that. You knew English, but that's it.
No, and it's, I mean, I didn't have any training, but they were, somewhat informal classes. It wasn't like for a degree or certification or anything. It was people who just wanted to learn. In some cases, they were friends, and so it was a fun experience.
Was the point to teach them vocabulary, or was the point to teach them how to have short conversations?
I mean, I think ideally, conversations, but and again, people there grew up watching American movies, and so most people, they couldn't speak Spanish, but English, but they would know a lot just from
the movies,
from Hollywood, and so it wasn't really starting at square one. A lot of people had some base, and just so much of like technology is in English. I think a lot of people knew that English is a good skill to have in Paraguay.
So you had a lot of contact with a lot of people in the community.
Between the community center and the Catholic Church.
Did you identify some people in that community that could really help you out? in doing your job?
The director of the community center, her name was Gabriela. She was a great person to help me out. And the whole youth group at the Catholic Church they were really good at just making connections and then through that I also developed a lot of connections at a lot of the schools in the town.
So there were multiple schools in this town.
It was a pretty big town, so there were several schools.
How'd you get around?
I had a bike, but mostly I walked. It was a pretty walkable environment.
It's not. Are you surrounded by jungle or what?
Yeah, the town. So if you're not familiar with Paraguay,
I'm not.
The eastern.
I know where it is.
The eastern half is sort of flat and a lot of deforested Amazon, and then
by loggers.
I mean, that's kind of just a lot of what the country is. It seemed like. I mean, but then where I was on the kind of the western half it's called the Chaco, which is not quite desert, but it gets more desert the further west you get.
You see cactus out there?
Not. I mean, it's kind of it's a unique ecosystem. It's so it wasn't like I was right on the edge of it. I mean, I was right on the river separating kind of eastern from western Paraguay.
Oh, good.
And so I was kind of right at the beginning of the Chaco. But as you get further west from the Chaco, I think it gets more arid and harsher environment. But it was definitely more lush where I was.
I suppose there are, like a lot of places, two seasons really, rainy and non-rainy. Is that what it was?
That's a good question. I don't really remember like the weather. It was, I think you'd call it subtropical. Like it never froze. It would get cold some, but not cold like you think here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it got down to the 50s, you'd see people in their winter parkas.
Yeah, right. And what about hot? I guess it
would
got
get very
pretty hot.
Yeah, very hot.
How long did that last?
I mean, it's
months.
A lot of the year, it's really hot. I mean, I never wanted to know the temperature because I felt like I'd dwell on that number.
Yeah.
I think one of the earliest things that made it successful for me was I realized it was going to be hot and mosquitoes are bad. I just at some point realized I'm not going to be comfortable, and I kind of relinquished my expectation of being comfortable all the time. At some point I remember being on a bus just realizing this is hot and it's crowded and everyone's sweating and that's just how it is. And at some point I accepted that, and it doesn't mean I loved it, but I accepted it. And
did you think to yourself, yes, I'm accepting this, I'm like everybody else, I'm just a resident here, however I can go home, I don't need to do this, so there's a point out there where enough is enough.
I mean, I knew I wasn't going to leave. I liked it too much, and appreciated the experience. I actually, when I finished the Peace Corps, I didn't want to come back. I stayed an extra 9 months on my own.
Oh, great!
The Peace Corps gives you a readjustment allowance, and so that goes a long way. I think my rent at the time was like $30 a month. So the readjustment allowance back then was maybe in the $5,000 or $6,000 or something like that, and so that lasted a long time.
I bought a car with my readjustment allowance, a $2,000 car.
Yeah. I actually just I stayed 9 months, and then after that, the Paraguayan government, I had to get visas after the Peace Corps was over. And after 9 months, they said, you either need to become a citizen or leave. And at that point, I decided, I guess it's time to go.
Okay.
And then I traveled around South America and used up the rest of my readjustment allowance.
I think that's
which was
wonderful idea.
Great experience.
Yeah. So, did you continue doing what you described earlier throughout much of your 2 years?
Yeah, I never had any specific assignments or projects.
They didn't change.
I taught English just because so many people wanted it. Taught art, taught computers. I got into chess when I was there, and we started a chess club there, and that was actually really fun. I think people that actually sometimes I didn't really do it. I did it just because it was fun, and that's maybe one of the more lasting things. That I had all these chess sets made, and we bought these little cheap chess sets, but we filled them with concrete, put felt on the bottom.
Oh.
And I somehow tracked down a couple of chess clocks, and so we never had tournaments or anything, but it was like a really fun thing that I think lasted after I left.
That's wonderful.
And then we also did. I worked with there was a local hospital where we would do some life skills classes, and we even did some sex ed.
The life skills. What do you mean by that?
Oh, that was so long ago I can hardly even remember. But
not in terms of life skills, but in terms of what you do remember doing that was health related.
Yeah.
Were
Honestly,
you taking anybody's temperature? Were you listening to their heart?
No, it wasn't health. It was just kind of it's hard to remember. Maybe some job skills. I mean, that was so long ago. Obviously, it didn't leave a huge impact on me if I can't remember the specifics. But
well, were you meeting, because you were around these students, I assume that you were meeting their parents at some point.
Yeah.
What kind of cooperation or not did you get from them? Support.
They were pretty supportive, especially the parents of in the Catholic youth group. They were all very supportive, and Paraguay. In America, I think we're used to leaving for work or going to school. In Paraguay, a lot of people never really leave the square block that they were born in, and so you might live next door to your parents, next door to your cousin, and so a lot of times, I mean, it's rare that people leave, and so whenever I got to know kids, the parents were always around, just because they're cousins, they're grandparents.
I'm wondering if any of them asked you for favors based on their presumption that you're a wealthy American.
Very few, actually.
Do you think they had that presumption?
I'm sure they did, but no one ever, while I was there, no one had asked me for, I think...
They didn't ask you for money?
Yeah, and I think they knew, I don't know, I mean, I think they could tell just the way we were living. We didn't have a ton of money. We were living in their town, in houses like theirs, so it wasn't like we were in the nicest house in town.
Yeah.
So I think it's obvious that the Peace Corps volunteers are not. We don't have cars. Got an old bike. No TV. So I have had a few people ask for help, since I've been back, but no one asked for anything while I was there.
The help that they want, is that to get out of the country?
No. I've had a few people since ask for like a small amount of money, but no one's ever asked for anything other than
that. Okay. Did you ever become part of anyone's family? Do you feel like you did?
The family that I moved in with initially.
In training?
No, the first 3 months in sight.
Okay.
I felt like I was part of that family, honestly.
Didn't you say you've been back to see them?
I haven't been back, but Facebook wasn't around at the time. But as soon as everyone started getting Facebook, everyone found each other. And so I keep up with them on social media.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do too. Keep up with people in the Philippines.
Yeah, and that was fun. At the time when I left, that was years before social media. I didn't know how often I'd hear from them again, but now I can hear from them all the time.
No, I think that's tremendous. I thought it was a miracle.
Yeah.
First time somebody told me about Facebook, and I thought, well, I'll try. I'll see if there is a group in my isolated little community in the Philippines, and damn, there was.
Yeah, everyone's on it. Yeah.
It was something. Well, let's see. Was there ever a point in the 2 years that you thought, I'm up to here, I don't know what I'm doing, whatever you were thinking, I might leave, or I will leave?
No, I loved it. I loved Paraguay. In some ways, is the Oklahoma of South America. It's hot. It's in the middle. It's not really touristed. There's not a ton to see, so tourists in South America tend to skirt it. But I think one of the I just found it to be a really interesting place. I really enjoyed it. I left a few times for trips back for like a funeral or Christmas.
Oh, come back to Oklahoma?
I came back for a week or.
Did you have to pay for that yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
My
but you didn't have any trouble returning then?
Yeah. My grandmother died at some point, and I didn't know if I was going to come back for it, but I remember one morning I woke up and I made a Southern breakfast in her honor, and then I thought I should be there, and so I called the Peace Corps office, and I think it was either a holiday or a Sunday, and I said I'd like to get back for my grandmother's funeral, and they said give us 30 minutes, and they called me back and said you'll be on the flight, there's one flight out.
Oh, tremendous.
Can you get into town here in the next couple hours? And they bought that ticket for me out of my readjustment allowance.
Oh, okay.
The Peace Corps took really great care of me. And probably the nicest dentist office I've ever been in was when I was in the Peace Corps. I had to have a root canal and a crown put in, and I had that done there.
Oh, wow. Pretty good.
But yeah, the healthcare was really great there.
It was. Not just for you, but for
us. I think I think that's one area where we probably see, even though in the day-to-day life you kind of live basically on a level similar to the people in your town, but I think when it comes to your health care, the Peace Corps will take you to the nicest doctors in the country.
So Peace Corps gave you great support.
Yeah, definitely.
It didn't support other people that I've talked to this way.
Really?
No.
Huh. Peace Corps
So I'm
Paraguay,
glad to hear
yeah,
that.
I know every country can be different, but Peace Corps Paraguay, I just thought was a great program.
Was there any problems with drugs or gangs
No,
during the time you were there?
I mean, there's probably not enough to be scared of. Or I mean, the town I lived in was, it seemed like it was a pretty safe town.
So there weren't people in town that said, now listen, stay away from that guy. He's a drug dealer.
I don't know. I mean, it was a pretty safe town. I don't think I and even though it was kind of a bigger town, it felt like a small town.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because each block is sort of a family, you know, one family basically lives in this whole block, and then the next family lives over in the next block.
I see.
There's just not a lot of room for, at least where I was, it was just a very familial, safe town.
And the government was not corrupt?
They were. I think they were pretty famous for being corrupt. But
Where? In your town?
I think
Or all
everywhere.
Everywhere? That was that's the culture, to be corrupt?
I mean, that I don't know if it really was, or that's just what everyone perceived it to be. But regardless, where I was, it seemed functional and safe.
So you never felt unsafe?
Yeah.
You never felt threatened?
No, I always felt pretty safe.
And the other volunteers felt the same way you did?
Yeah, and my Peace Corps Paraguay had a lot of volunteers, and I don't remember ever hearing about anyone who had any problems.
So you also didn't hear about anyone ever leaving, going back, quitting?
There were a few people who quit, but I think in one case, it was someone couldn't handle the heat, and they were an older volunteer.
Yeah.
And then I think another case was health related.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a really well-run program.
And all of the Peace Corps volunteers that you knew of in Paraguay,